Before I begin, I want to say what I'm about to share is not to shame anyone. It's not to admonish anyone. Simply restore what I've seen seems to have been lost, compassion and dignity for the most vulnerable. January 6th was a, is that better? January 6th was a frigidly cold day. Even without the wind chill for someone sleeping outdoors, that kind of cold is not uncomfortable. It's dangerous. That day, I went to check on two friends, Kim and Harvey, staying near the park. I found them huddled behind the Presbyterian church. They greeted me with a warm smile and a cigarette. As I lit it, I realized the smile was the only thing warm. The first time since the temperature dropped, Kim wasn't surrounded by blankets. That's when I learned they had just lost everything they owned, including their blankets. In this weather, blankets aren't a luxury, they're necessary for survival, especially for a woman in her 60s. I am generally a peaceful person, but I was deeply disturbed to learn that these blankets had been removed by City of Omak employees. 2 days later, on January 8th, I observed private citizens, many from the same unhoused population often criticized in this community, raking and cleaning the park. They were doing work the city normally pays employees to do. I will not speculate on intent. I'll speak only on what I observed and the city's obligations. These obligations do not end with property. They extend to basic human dignity. In this city, access to bathrooms for unhoused people is almost non-existent. Public facilities are routinely closed, and very few businesses allow access. I want to be clear, this comes from lived experience. When I was living in a tent, there were times I didn't even have time to get out, much less try to find a public restroom when most were closed anyways. When a city denies people any realistic way to meet basic bodily needs, that is not neutrality, that is indifference. And when indifference becomes policy, it becomes cruelty. The Fourth Amendment protects citizens from unreasonable seizure of property. 14th Amendment guarantees due process. That applies whether someone is housed or unhoused. Notice and an opportunity to contest the action must occur before property is taken. Kim and Harvey received neither. From what I understand, their blankets were removed while they were sitting on them. I ask, who is closer to God or to their own heart when God is present in that situation? Two men taking blankets from a woman on a freezing night while she remains compassionate enough to share, even after losing nearly everything. The answer seems clear. I also want to be clear about something else. I have witnessed what compassion can do. In this community, there are very few citizens who have shown genuine care to people society has written off as hopeless. I've seen multiple people struggling with addiction find sobriety because two women in particular didn't judge. Instead, they treated them like human beings. They showed concern for their well-being. They showed consistency. They showed love. And because of that, people written off as outcast and hopeless by society chose sobriety. They chose a life and they chose a change. That matters because it proves this is not a problem without solutions. When people are treated with dignity instead of hostility, lives change, especially when that dignity is consistent and patient, because people who have been harmed expect kindness to be an act and the hostility to soon return. The city is also facing serious legal exposure. Title 18, Section 242, deprivation of rights under color of law exists to prevent exactly what I witnessed. Removing property and denying basic necessities to the most vulnerable without due process places the city at risk of federal investigation. I want to offer a concrete, immediate solution. The city should establish at least one temporary sanctioned space where a homeless person can legally place a tent, exist without the fear of harassment, citation, or removal, and have access to basic necessities including 24-hour restroom access. A simple place to live, to survive safely. This is not a radical idea. It is humane. It's a temporary measure that prevents death, protects public health, respects the law, and reduces the city's liability. Finally, for those of you who are Christian or believe in moral accountability, I ask this: what will you say to your Creator when asked why you allowed harm to come to those most vulnerable? Why was basic dignity denied? How will you justify taking warmth from the elderly and denying people even a place to relieve themselves safely in the cold? These are not rhetorical questions. They're a call to action. It is within your power and your responsibility to ensure the safety and dignity of every person in OMAC. Thank you.